Jason has a class. So Jason has a tax strategy class coming up
March 30th.
March 30th. And if you want to learn more,
You can reach me on Facebook. Just message me at Mr. Jason Hamilton, and it's in Elk Grove at the Hilton Garden Inn from 10 to noon on March 30th.
beautiful. And then Mr. Gary.
I had 14 offers on my listing, and we accepted one of them, obviously, well over asking price.
Awesome. Awesome. And Miss Alicia.
I will do one for Haley Lance.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have this escrow going and the conventional appraiser came out, and I'm not even kidding you, it was like 50 grand low in the value. And she got the listing agent to give us a second whirl at it and order a second appraisal FHA, and no joke, that one came in. So who would have thought the FHA one came in with no repairs? So we just got clear close just now.
Now, so Alicia, since you're sharing already, you mind just giving us a quick mortgage update? What's happening?
So one thing I wanted to share with you guys, I posted on the Brent Gove team group site last week, but I wanted to make sure, because I know there's a lot of new people, that you guys knew some simple definitions so that when lenders are talking about it and strategizing to help your clients bump the price when you're getting in a counteroffer situation, right? So I wanted to make sure everybody understood what a point is. Do you guys understand what that means when the lender's saying there's points involved? Okay, good. And just in case somebody's being shy, 1% or 1 point is just 1% of a loan amount. So on a $400,000 house, it's just $4,000. I have clients, no joke right now, I have some clients paying over 4 points in their loan to get the loan. And I want to make sure to teach you something. One thing is 10 grand in your loan amount is literally $50 in the payment. That's it. It's not a big difference. So if a client has a $10,000 lower loan amount, we're literally talking 50 bucks. If they use the same 10 grand to buy the rate down, it's like $150 cheaper in your payment. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So we've been getting a lot of clients to lower the loan to value, or excuse me, increase the loan to value and use more of the money toward buying points down rather than having a lower loan amount. So I want to make sure you knew what that was. Another definition is just an ARM, adjustable rate mortgage. A lot of people don't even realize that that's what that means. What's very popular right now is the 10-year fixed. It used to be based on a rate in the market called the LIBOR. That actually went away. It no longer exists. The new ARM index is called SOFR, Secured Overnight Free Rate. The reason it's important for you to know that is clients have a fear about these programs, but a 10-year loan fixed for 10 years that then becomes adjustable gives them a decade worth of security. A decade is how long it typically takes for the real estate market to cycle. So whatever we have going on, it keeps repeating itself every 10 years. And that's right in line because last time rates were right at 3% was 2013, which is right about 10 years ago. So the history demonstrates that for sure. So when I have clients who got outpriced, I'm like, hey, let's look at the 10-year. It typically runs a 0.5% cheaper than the 30-year. And it gives them education on, if you pull up today's rate, the index, which is the rate, is 0.05. So the loan is a margin. What that means is whatever the current rate is at the time, the index, that's what they call it, which is SOFR. Today it's 0.05. The margin is 3%. That would mean that if the loan technically adjusted today, the rate would be 3.05. Still a phenomenal rate. So I teach that to the client. They have this weird fear from 2008, 2009, and that's because those loans were based on a very risky index that was not stable. This newer index is a lot lower of a risk and is more stable. And so it's an A paper index, meaning the margin is low, like 3%. Back in the day, the margins were really high, 5 and 6%. So people were getting adjusted into really terrible payments. But just to be clear, as long as they refinance at any point in the 10-year period of time, they never actually even experience the adjustable period. The other popular one that will come back, just because banks are going to try to find ways to lend people money, right, is a balloon. And I want to make sure you knew what that meant. If a loan is a 10-year balloon, it means that in 10 years, the bank wants them to pay them off in full. So they have to just refinance or sell by the 10-year point. Well, if we have clients that go, I'm only going to keep this for 5 years, Perfect, let's get you a better rate and let's look into a 10-year fixed or a 10-year balloon and drop that rate down so you can still get the higher priced home that you want. Amortization, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew what that meant. It just meant that part of the payment is principal and part of the payment is interest, both. And the reason that's important is banks are now coming back out with interest only. So again, clients will have a bad taste in their mouth for interest only. The reason interest only is okay now, this is what I tell them, the reason it's okay now is the typical ways they're offered is you can do 10-year interest only, 30-year amortized. So it's a 40-year loan. And why is that beneficial for the customer? Because for the first 10 years of the loan, the payment is calculated this simple way. Rate times loan amount equals divided by 12. Very simple, very low payments. So if a client has the ability to sell their house, or they're going to come up on a chunk of money, if they take that money and apply it to the balance, their payment the very next month plummets down to whatever the current balance is. So the interest-only loans adjust with the balance. So it's extremely beneficial for people who want they want a low payment now, knowing it's because I'm going to pay it down in the next couple of years. So having it interest only for 10 years gives them a whole 10 years to chunk it, so that at the 10-year point, it becomes fixed principal and interest over another 30 years. Does that make sense? So it's a lot lower risk than an ARM because the rate's never able to change. Fixed for 30 years, 40 years, excuse me. So I just wanted to open up your guys' thinking to different loan programs so that when your clients are like, man, I'm just outpriced and I want to give up, we can go, guess what? We have options for you and we have solutions for you. Let's make sure we check all the options. You have a question?
Yeah, forgive me, I didn't mean to interrupt your thought.
No, I love it.
So it's a 40-year, so they don't have to, it's not 10 plus 20 for a 30-year, it's 10 plus 30
Yes.
for a 40-year.
Yes,
And they don't have to refi after 10? It's
No,
already got a low
it's-
rate?
yes.
Good question.
So I've been seeing those at about 4.5 right now, which isn't bad for 40 years fixed. And again, 10-year interest only. So at first the payment's like really low.
So the objective is just for affordability, just so they can get rid of the house. And then after that, they can start paying down a month.
Yep. Mhm.
Alicia, what's the main difference between a 10-year ARM versus a 10-year interest only?
So a 10-year ARM is amortized, which is principal and over a 30-year period of time. So there's a 75% of the payments interest on most 30-year loans when you first make your first payment. And then once you get to the 15-year mark, it's 50-50. That's how they work. So it's principal and interest. Interest only isn't requiring you to pay it down within the monthly payment. So it shaves off anywhere from, $400 to $1,000 off the payment. And that way the person has a much lower premium to get in the door.
And with that ARM, like you're gonna get a little bit favorable rate, like a 0.5%.
So a 10-year ARM tends to be about 0.5% cheaper. So what does 0.5% represent in financing? $400,000 loan amount, 0.5% is $2,000 a year. It's about $175 a month for the payment reduction. So on a $400,000 loan, it saves the client $175 a month. Does that make sense? So 0.5% is a lot. The other thing that I don't see anyone using, I'm not kidding you. I don't know what is wrong with people, but they don't realize it's there. That's probably what's wrong. Mortgage credit certificate. If you have a homeowner who hasn't owned in 3 years and they make under like 120,000, they can get mortgage credit certificate. Lenders stopped using it when it was not able to be backed off the debt to income ratio to qualify, because they were using it when it could help them get their client's purchase price up. But as soon as there was no more benefit and the bank said, you can't offset the debt ratio with that, they stopped using it. But for the client's psyche, when we go, hey, have you ever heard of mortgage credit certificate? It shaves $200 to $400 off what the client pays in income tax out of their paycheck, which in turn means their paycheck is now going to be $200, $400 more received into their bank account, which allows them to afford what just happened in our interest rates. So if they're like, man, I want to give up, you know what? I just heard about this tax credit that is a guaranteed tax credit. It lasts for 30 years.
Wow.
And how it works is it gives you a dollar for dollar refund of 20% of the interest you pay on the home. So whatever the interest is you pay per year, 20% of that is a guaranteed dollar for dollar refund to the customer. They can take it monthly though, by adjusting their paycheck, their W-4. So they can get it now so that when they go to afford this house, it doesn't feel like there's a difference. It's no bump in the road.
With that, is that if they're filing their taxes doing like an itemized deduction or a standard deduction, or how's that work?
So I figured it out. It's like $450,000 home will help the client more than the standard deduction when they're married. When you're single, it's easy to beat the standard deduction. It's $12,000 a person. When you're married, and this is just from the top of my head, I believe it's $12,000 a person. If you're married, I think it's $24,000 is the standard deduction. So you have to be buying a house above $400,000 to $450,000. For Roseville homes with high Melleroos or Lincoln homes with high Melleroos, now that you have the property tax, $400,000 will work. But anything above that and doing this mortgage credit certificate in addition to because 80% of that interest they write off as usual. And just so you guys are clear, tax or interest and property tax, it's basically a 25% return, 25 cents on the dollar. Most people fit in the 25% tax bracket, okay? So a deduction, they get back 25 cents on the dollar. The tax credit, it's 100%, so dollar for dollar. That's why it ends up being $200 to $400 extra for the customer than just writing off their home, because it's a guarantee. So, and it is in addition to the standard or the itemized deduction. It's in addition to that, because it's a certificate that you're getting that guarantees that credit. So you don't, so now that my brain processed your question, because it's a certificate, it is in addition to. So if they take the standard deduction, they actually can still get mortgage credit certificate.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a $500 application fee. That's all that it costs to save the customer like $4,000 or $5,000 a year.
Wow.
On the bigger purchase prices, it's even bigger. But it's just a tool, guys, that we can bring up that sets you apart and nobody else said it to the customer. And when they're feeling despair and you want to be the shining light of hope, you're like, you know what? I just heard about this really cool program. Has anyone mentioned it to you? Let me connect you with somebody who can give you more details. If you want the website to look it up for our area, it's nhfloan.org. And it's offered by the Golden State Finance Authority. And it's called Mortgage Credit Certificate. So yes, you have to be a first-time home buyer where you haven't owned in 3 years. Yes, you have an income limit, and yes, there's a purchase price limit. And I believe it's 500,000 or something like that. Off the top of my head, it might be in the sixes now. But Sacramento County, unfortunately, you can't do it because SHRA basically dominated it and said, I'm the only one who can offer it, and they don't have any money. So everybody suffers. But Placer County, you can get it. Sutter, Yuba, all the outlying areas, you can get it. And with USDA, you can offset the debt ratio. You can still offset the debt ratio. So if you have somebody who doesn't qualify and you flip them to USDA and you add mortgage credit certificate, now I can offset their debt ratio by $200 to $400 a month, which gives them $40,000 roughly more in purchase price. So that's where I've been having the conversation with a lot of people who wanted to buy over here and said, hey, let's get you up toward Marysville area or Oliver's area or like Linda area, and you get way more bang for your buck. I can bump your purchase price, and it's like a 15-20 minute drive.
Yep.
But you can offset the debt ratio and qualify for more house, and USDA is 100% financing. So it's kind of you don't have to be a first-time home buyer for that program. But anyways, I just took a lot of information.
All right, my brain exploded. I just got a PhD in lending.
Well, I want you guys I just want you guys to have solutions and something, tools to give hope to people, because so many people are scared. And the agents they're going to be attracted to are shining lights. If you can be the shining light of, don't worry, we're going to figure this out. Don't worry, we're going to find you a solution. I just heard about new things. Let me do a little bit of research for you. They're going to be attracted to that because everyone else is like, yeah, I know it's really tough out there. Oh yeah, you're getting beat up. And that's not attractive. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants to be around that energy. Yeah. So even having something to talk about, it's just a solution-based thinking.
So real quick, round of applause for Miss Alicia. What I would recommend is if you are into this type of thing, post about that today on social, make a video, go live, talk about it, do it with Alicia, do it like get it, do it, make it, take action now rather than wait. Because if you wait till next week, she's gonna have another tidbit and you'll be like, oh shoot, what was the one last week? And then anyways, take action now. And Alicia, if they want to get in contact with you, how's the best?
916
Yeah, 916
256
256
6486.
6486.
And we're gonna do a home buyer class today at 1. And I think newer agents, it's great to sit in, it's on Zoom, it's free. But we're gonna cover the different ways for people to vest their title. And again, it's good for you guys to know that kind of lingo. What's the difference between joint or community property, or what's the benefit of going into a trust? And then we're gonna cover the 10 steps to the home buying process. I did pass out, and if anybody wants some more, I'll leave them right here. That just gives you guys kind of an easy, clear pathway of what the steps are to a transaction for customers. Because sometimes it's easy when you can go, hey, it's super simple, it's only 10 steps, when it gets us to the destination. So I did want to share that with you guys as well. I posted the link for the class today on our site. If you can't make it, but you register, we will email you the Zoom recording later.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Awesome.
very cool.
What time is it?
1 o'clock.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much, Alicia. In that thread of handouts and getting offers accepted and keeping clients happy, you heard Gary say earlier that there was 14 offers on his house. This is not unique. We just had an agent, Josephine. She's on the call, but she has like laryngitis, so she can't speak. So I'm going to speak for her. But she just beat out 12 other offers, right? And basically, what we do, this is what we do. If you've been coming to these meetings for a while, you recognize a lot of the information on here, but I want to highlight two things that Josephine did, and actually Valerie did this recently too. Valerie beat out, there were offers that were $60,000 above her client's offer, and their offer got accepted. Same thing with Josephine. There was at least two offers that one was $10,000, one was $15,000 above Josephine's offer. But the agent went with Valerie and Josephine because they basically followed this script, followed this guideline. And the two things I really want to touch on that don't cost anything, doesn't cost your client anything, doesn't cost you anything, is writing a strong offer. Now, obviously, okay, what's a strong offer? Now, strong offer is also, number 6, a clean offer. You'll be surprised at how many agents out there are submitting offers with rent backs and not including SIPs or RLASs. And the agent's like, what the heck? What's going on here? And so you have to submit a clean offer. If you need tips on that, if you want somebody to review it, send it to Valerie. Don't send it to me. I will not review it. And you don't want me reviewing it. But send it to Valerie and she'll certainly review them for you. Like, we're one big fire here, one big team, but you have to be writing clean offers. A clean offer doesn't cost anything, but it can make the difference between your offer getting accepted and not getting accepted. So there's a lot of tips on here. I don't want to go into all of them because we got Mr. Eric who's going to be presenting here shortly. But any questions on submitting offers, anything you want to cover real quick?
You include the SIP with, or the RLAS or with the offer?
Hey, you got to see everything. You want to include the entire like offer packet. You want to include proof of funds. People aren't even doing proof of funds, right?
That's just basic.
You're right, but
usually
people,
RLAS, they work out the details on that later, but.
Yeah, so work out the details and get it all handled, because what are they accepting if they accept your offer with an undetermined rent back?
I'll have the details.
Yeah, but without the details, yeah.
I would just like to emphasize
Yeah.
on the clean offers. So
What's your
2
name?
weeks ago, Sydney Whitworth.
Hi,
2
Sydney.
weeks ago, I did an open house with a San Diego agent she was listing the house with her best friend. She flew down here because apparently her brokerage wouldn't let her do open houses outside of her brokerage. So she flew out and did it with me. So we were chit-chatting because the open house is 11 to 3. And we were talking about offers and stuff like that. We were talking about lenders and she's all, I like dirty lenders. And we were like, what do you mean dirty lenders? And she's like, well, when I'm writing offers, sometimes I'll put my own proof of funds in there, like a screenshot of my bank account without my name in it to get my offer accepted. So horrible, I know. So I want to emphasize, I know everybody's trying to do what it takes to get their client into home, but keep the clean offers on the table, because she told me that and I was like, if only that was in writing, I would totally I probably nick her on that one, but
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
it was horrible. So I just wanted to.
So to your point, that's what people are out there dealing with,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
Say her name out loud.
yeah.
I'll give her. I'll say she's a San Diego agent. That's all. I'm not gonna ever ask her about that.
It's like that person that has been going through stealing ice cream out of people's fridges, you know? Yeah, in open houses.
That's the same level of crime, Johnny.
No, I mean, but it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
She told us that, and my lender was with me, and then I just paid her.
So everybody, this is what we're recovering. I put it in the chat box if you'd like to see a copy of it. Mark and Lori Welch. All right.
Sorry.
You got everybody riled up with that. Everybody's telling their stories now. So real quick, before Eric presents here in 30 seconds, upcoming are two events you're not going to want to miss. Ooh. I'm gonna snap if you hear me, clap twice if you hear me, right? What do the teachers do? All right, Powerhouse Listing Agent. It's free, March 24th, PCAR 10 to 12. We're gonna have some top agents in the area presenting. I don't even know who they are yet. I don't know if Brent knows, in all fairness, but they're gonna be great. Who went to the lead generation class? Raise your hand. Was that not incredible? Right. So again, this is free. Bring agents. Bring yourself, right? And go to that. If you want to register, it's on Eventbrite. Go to brentgove.com and you can find it there. And another event that's coming up that's always fun, Mix and Mingle. Has anybody gone to one of these before? I know I have. Have you, John? Yeah. They are a blast. You meet a ton of different people. They're not all agents and lenders and vendors. People from all walks of life. It's a good time. It's free. It's down at the Mix. The Mix. Yeah, it's a club in Sacramento on the 31st. So, huh? Downtown. You got it. All right. Well, with that, we're going to turn this over to Mr. Eric. Cannot pronounce your last name, so we're just going to go with
home.
Love Home, like the house.
Do either of you guys want to sit here? All right. Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I am excited to be with you guys here. I want to talk about making money. And I want to share some ideas with you that can make you an additional $100,000 in the next 30 minutes or so.
Let's do it.
So how many of you would feel that would be a good use of 30 minutes of time if I could give you not just motivation, some specific things that you could immediately do to make it an extra $100,000? How many of you be excited about that by show of hands?
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. So
here's your first nugget. I gave you guys all my business card, and I want to teach you how to give your business card out. So what I want you to do, if you have a smartphone, if you have your smartphone with you right now, I want you to take out your smartphone. What I want you to do is take a photo of my business card. And then what I want you to do on your camera roll, you have the option of favoriting a photo. So your camera roll might be like my camera roll, where you've got like 1,000 to 5,000 photos. And if you ever try to find a photo in your camera roll, it's like scroll for days, but you can go right to the favorites. So when you take a photo of the business card and you favorite it, if you ever need to find it, it's super easy to find it. Now, why might it be a good idea for you to have my business card on your camera roll? Well, I'm a local speaker. I'm like the Tony Robbins of Rockland. So if you ever needed a speaker to talk to your son's Little League baseball team, or to talk to a group, or Jason's having the tax person do a special meeting. If you ever wanted a motivational speaker to do an EXP for you, and you invite agents, right? So that's how you get a hold of me. Now forget about me, because this isn't about me. This is about you. When you meet somebody and you give them your business card, do you think a year from now they're going to be able to find your business card? Probably not. A year from now, you probably won't be able to find my business card, but it'll probably be on your camera roll under favorites. So if you guide your people that you're giving your card to do that, and they need to find you, or they're going to refer you, they can easily find it. All right. How many of you like that idea by a show of hands? Okay. Who's going to do that? All right. Do you think that could get you one extra transaction between now and the end of your career?
Yeah,
Okay. If you make 10 grand a deal, what did I just give you?
10 grand.
I just gave you $10,000.
I'm good at math.
10 grand. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you 100 grand. So I got 90 more to go. Now, the next idea, I'm going to tell you something that everybody agrees with, whether it's Brent Gove or we had Coach Burt last week. That was amazing.
Mhm.
Whether it's Coach Burt, anybody else, they're all going to say, get better. They're all going to say, work on your skills, right? Okay. So I want this gentleman. What's your first name?
Julian.
Julian, will you come up here to the front of the room with me for just a second? Now, Julian, you can't help notice this man's physique. Would you be willing to just give these guys a little flex right here? Look at this guy. Let's give him a hand.
Let me get your business card put right there.
This guy's back is solid. Okay, you're good.
Little
Now-
romance going.
Julian, see, we can see his muscles. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to be like Julian with your business. So how many days a week do you work out?
Well, like 7.
7 every day. Okay. What's your commitment level to your fitness on a scale of 1 to 10?
10.
He's committed. We all know that. You just look at how powerful he is. Okay. So what if you showed up for your personal development, your business development, like he does for his fitness? See, that's what Brent does. So I'm obsessed, like how he works out. I'm obsessed with working on business skills. So my business skill muscles are like his real muscles. And we can all be like Julian. And so the way I frame that is you want to be the ultimate student. You want to be the ultimate student. So that's how I show up for the people that I'm a student of. So I have mentors in my life and I show up as the ultimate student. And one thing that's a no-brainer for you guys is to be the ultimate student of what Brent's teaching. Because here you have, I mean, one of the most powerful real estate professionals in the world. And he comes here every once in a while. Right? So one way to study him, there's a lot of different ways, but one way is through his podcast, the Brent Gove podcast, which you can get for free at brentgove.com. And that podcast comes out every single week. And if I was you, I would devour those podcasts. That's like what Julian's doing working out. And so I just happen to be the co-host of that podcast. So you might have heard my voice before. I hear this guy sounds familiar. So I just interviewed Aaron Rawls. And one of the things that Aaron said is be like Julian with your business. And you'll hear that right on the podcast. All right. So those episodes are usually about 15 minutes a week. So who would be up for listening to every new episode, just 15 minutes? So we could be up for doing that by a show of hands. Okay. So what that's going to do is it's going to get you a little bit better, right? It's not like you're going to have a breakthrough on any one podcast, but what it is it's a micro improvement. So if you think about a microscope, it's so small, you need a special device to see it. So those podcasts are like micro doses. But what happens is the ideas build on themselves. Okay. So I just gave you guys an idea of the business card. So that's not going to make you a millionaire, but it'll make you a little bit better. So you take that idea and then you stack it on the next idea and the next idea and the next idea. And I gave you a mindset a moment ago. I just want to come back to it. Is to be the ultimate student. Because if you choose to do that with whoever your coach or mentor is, do it with Brent or anyone else that you're learning from. Because a lot of times there's a lot more there to get if you really focus on it versus just kind of like a surface learning, like Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. You guys familiar with that book? I've taught that curriculum multiple times. So by teaching the curriculum, what happens to my skill level?
Goes up.
I get it deeper, right? I grow that skill level. And we all can do that. All right, we're just getting started. Next idea is, let's see here. Gave you the business card one, podcast. Oh, notes. So there's this handout here, and a lot of you have journals, which is awesome, or you brought a notepad. At a minimum, use the back of this piece of paper and take some notes. And then what I want you to do when we're done today is get out your camera phone and take a picture of what? Of your notes, in case you misplaced the piece of paper. Because if you're like, by the end of this class, you're like, wow, Eric, you actually did give us $100,000. It'd be kind of a shame if you lost the notes, right? Because it's like $100,000. Okay, here's your next idea. I want you to create a book like this. I want you to label it Raving Fans. And so what this book is it communicates that you're a professional real estate agent. And you can put in like if there's any awards that you've won or anything that communicates success. If you're, I'm married with kids, so I might have a photo of my family in here, things that communicate my commitment. And in mine, I just happen to have a personal letter endorsing my work by none other than Tony Robbins. This is a letter that Tony Robbins gave me. And I got that because I used to work for Tony Robbins. I was employed by Tony for 3 years. So you fill out this binder, and then what you do is you make this a part of your listing presentation. And you just have it with you. There's times when somebody will look through there, they respond to visual stimulation, it's credibility. You go to your clients that are really happy with your work, right? You got to, you got them an extra 20,000 above what they were asking, whatever you did do awesome for them, you ask them for a letter. And you say it like this, could you do me a favor? And they're going to go, yeah, sure. What is it? Could you just drop me a nice letter letting me know I did a great job for you? And they're going to say, sure, no problem. Another thing that you can do is you can do a survey. This is kind of like a hybrid of a letter. This is when I was over in Malaysia speaking years ago. The survey's in 2 languages because not everybody spoke English. So you do a little survey. This is a super easy thing for your clients to fill out. So you ask them for a letter or a survey, and then you fill up your Raving Fans binder with that survey. How many of you think the Raving Fans is a good idea by show of hands?
No.
Okay. How many of you think this could get you at least 2 additional transactions between now and the end of your career? Right. If it gets you at least 2 and the other one got you at least 1, how much money have I now given you? 30,000. This can probably get you a lot more than 2. This is probably $100,000 for you right here. Just one idea. A guy named Ralph Roberts for many years was the #1 real estate agent in the state of Michigan. He had this. So he did this exact strategy. Yeah, that one, I got it out of my garage. I haven't used it for a while.
I know that's what you're focused on.
But you know what? I like the idea.
Not like you,
Similar to what
Sydney.
you put on your website or in the listing presentation, because we do that. So is that are as opposed to carrying that around, to me, I feel like, hey, look at me. As opposed to just here, everything's on my website. Is that the same thing, or do you recommend that than having a physical hard copy?
Well, if you're doing a listing presentation in person, you could have that with you. And to your point, because some people are like, if I do this, it's like, hey, look at me. But if you look at the most successful people in the world, they are powerfully speaking about who they are. Right? Like Coach Burt, you guys see Coach Burt last week?
Yeah.
He's not shying away from who he is. And none of us need to, but our culture programs us to do that. So if you powerfully show up as who you are, like think about, that's the real estate agent I want to hire. Somebody, confident sells. And I'm going to give you guys some tips, some specific tips on how to be more confident that will instantly make you more confident. All right, before we go any further, you guys liking the content so far?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. One thing about me, you'll find me, whether today I get to be the guest speaker, which I love, but you'll find me sitting right there. I'm in the meeting every week, whether I'm speaking or not. So you might think about a place where you can come as an attendee, whether it's weekly or monthly. So I see value in building relationship with Brent, EXP, and all of you. So I prioritize this meeting. So just whether I'm speaking or not, I make sure I'm sitting in the front. So what you want to do, what's that?
I think you were on the back last week, but it's okay.
He was 100% in the front. We got video.
I swear you were. 1 week. You were in the front, I
You were in the
swear.
front because I see the chair.
Is that what you're focused on?
I'm sorry.
Eric, we love you whether you're in the back or the
You're amazing.
It's like a stand-up comedy routine, man. You got to deal with the hecklers.
I'm giving you $100,000. Let me speak to what she just shared, because this is actually a really powerful lesson. And it has to do with what do we see in others? And here's what we see. We see what we're looking for. So here's the deal. I've been married most of my adult life. I've had 2 wives. I'm with my second wife now. And if you've been married like me, or if you are married like me, and I've been married, like I said, almost my whole adult life, is who my spouse is to me is what I'm looking for. So if I look at my wife and I look at all of the things where she's falling short, then that's what I'm going to see. And then if I'm talking to you about my relationship with my wife, it's going to be a complaint. Versus if I see all of the gold in her. And here's the thing. I live with my wife. So what do I want to see? I want to see the gold. Right? I want to see the gold in my wife because that's the most important relationship in the world to me. So something to just take a look at in if you have a spouse or significant other, or your family, or your friends, or Brent, or me, or whoever, is if you see the gold of them, then that's what you're going to see, and that's going to be your experience. Because your reality is however you choose to see it. And that's a really valuable lesson. All right, moving on. Occasionally, if I get to the meeting a little bit late and my seat's taken, you're going to find me in the back.
But you're here.
As long
That's
as
right.
you make it work out.
That's right. The main point of that is, where's a good place for you to be every week or once a month? Like, where's the network that makes sense for you to be there? And the idea is, if you think about a relationship like a puddle of water after a little rain, a little short, right? Or a well 40 feet deep. They're both relationships. One's a surface relationship and the other you go deep. And what my advice is to prioritize 2, 3, 4, or 5 relationships and go deep like a 40-foot well. So one of those relationships for me is Brent. So I say, look, I'm going to sit in the front row, whether I'm a speaker or not. Usually I just show up if I'm a speaker. I'm not going to sit in the room if I'm not. But here, that is my way of communicating to Brent and to all of you that this is valuable to me. So for you to think about who are those 2, 3, or 4 relationships for you that you can go deep with and be intentional with it. All right. That's a bonus idea. Okay, here's your next tip, and it has to do with prospecting. So we all need to do prospecting. Before I even go into prospecting, how many of you know you need to be doing more prospecting than what you're currently doing? By show of hands. What's the number one reason why people don't do more prospecting?
Rejection.
Fear of rejection, right? So you have the way Brent and James have set this up, it's a layup for prospecting other agents because they're providing you this meeting at PCAR. I think it's on the 24th of the month. You've got a world-class event to invite agents to. It doesn't get any easier than that. That's the easiest prospecting in the world. A great local event for them and for you that's all been put together. You don't even have to lift a finger to organize it. It's just like you have a world-class event. So what do? You're going to prospect. And the way you do it, a couple quick tips, is to reach out to an agent and invite them to that meeting, or if you're prospecting for your real estate business on the transaction side, how long does it take to send an invitation, a text, an email, a direct message on social media to another agent to invite them to the meeting on the 24th? How long does it take? So here's what I say, because you got to like figure out which agent am I going to send it to and what's my messaging. I just always say to reach out to somebody, it takes 2 minutes. Okay. So if you reached out to 5 agents a day, 5 days a week for the PCAR event, how many minutes a day would that take? 10. It's 10 minutes a day. If you did it for 15 days, I'm not sure how many days there are between now and then, but well, let's just call it 10. If you did it for 10 days and you reach out to 5 agents a day, how many agents would that be? Wouldn't that be powerful if you invited 50 agents, right? But most people aren't thinking like this. They don't go past the fear of the rejection. So you're like getting ready to prospect, and like, oh my gosh, if I reach out, maybe they're going to reject me, I'll just go back and I'll do my comfort zone, which is real estate transactions. So here's how I think about it. I'm going to give you guys, there's a saying, there's nothing more powerful than a good idea whose time has come. And I'm going to give you a nugget right now that could
Say it
build,
again, really quick.
this could build you, I'll say it in a second. This can build you your real estate organization. Because some of you, the reason you came to EXP is you want to build the organization to create your financial freedom. But you haven't been prospecting because it's something new. So human nature is we resist what's new. We just resist it just because it's new. When webinars came out, I'm like, I don't want to do webinars because I'm used to doing this with people. And then webinars came out, I'm like, I don't want to do webinars. Why? Because it's new. That's the only reason. So prospecting for agents, for many of you, it's a new way of thinking. It's a different type of sale because in real estate, there's a time urgency, right? They got to move. They inherited the house and the heirs want the money, whatever. There's time sensitive events in a real estate transaction. That's not true recruiting an agent from another firm because they can just stay there for the next 2 years and they don't necessarily have to be in a lot of pain. So it's a different type of sale. It's a relationship sale. That's why Brent and James and Rob have set up the PCAR events because it's a relationship sale. It'd be like if you were doing transactions with people and you had to invite them to real estate educational events to get them to list with you. You don't have to do that because it's time sensitive, but it's a different type of sale. So if you do want to build an organization, how many of you see yourself building an organization with EXP? Okay, a lot of you. It's a different way of thinking. So the saying is there's nothing more powerful than a good idea whose time has come. And here's the idea. When you're prospecting for an agent or for your real estate business, it's reframing what happens when they ignore you or say no. So for a lot of people, if they say no, you're absorbing rejection. So you're feeling rejection. Okay. So instead of absorbing rejection, I flipped it. And it took me about literally 100,000 cold calls to figure out what I'm going to tell you right now. It's going to take me 2 minutes to teach it to you, but it took me a couple decades to figure out what I'm going to teach you in 2 minutes. And it's this. If I say I'm going to reach out to 5 agents today, using what you guys do as an example, if I say I'm going to reach out to 5, every agent I reach out to, I win. No matter what they say. Okay, it's a win. See what's happening in your mind right now, when you go to reach out, the possibility of them saying no, quote unquote rejection is like, ugh, I don't want to have to communicate this with the possibility of, but I train my brain. It's no longer, it's, Eric, great job. So here's another distinction for you. You want to be your number one cheerleader. A lot of people are their harshest critic.
Mm-hmm.
There's a thing called a declaration. And a declaration is a statement that you live into. And they can be positive or negative. So I'll get on a coaching call with somebody, and what they'll say is, I am a procrastinator. And they're declaring it. I hate the phone. And they're declaring it. Or I'm not good at prospecting. And so they're declaring that. Or I am my harshest critic. So negative self-talk does not increase results. It erodes self-esteem. The reason we do negative self-talk is we do life in patterns. So when we grew up, our mom or our dad or our guardian or our coach or our boss, in a lot of cases, said negative things to us. Did anybody in this room grow up having a parent say negative things to you? You'll never amount to anything. You're a loser, this and that, negative stuff, right? So when you're a little kid, you get programmed in your brain, and that becomes a part of your self-image. So now we say things like, I'm my harshest critic, or we say negative self-talk. So there's an opportunity to clean all that up. So my background is when I got started, my joke is my first job right out of high school, I made over 100,000 right out of high school. Didn't make over $100,000, made over 100,000 hamburgers. I was a cook at McDonald's. This is up in Auburn, just up the road. I went to Sierra College, which is a 2-year college. You're supposed to go for 2 years. I went for 5 years and never graduated. Okay. So I'm a college dropout, former cook at McDonald's, very low self-esteem. And now I have the confidence to prospect people like Brent Gove. Because how I got standing in front of here is I prospected him. And he gave me an objection. And I overcame the objection. You have to have confidence to be able to do that. And so it's learning how to think differently. So there may be a couple of you in the room that have an interest in going deeper and learning. Like I could teach this to you one-on-one. Brent says, get a coach. One of the reasons perhaps for some of you to work with me is I'm local. And I'm going to be sitting right here at every meeting. So if any of you are interested in that, you have my business card and we can set up a free call. And I can do some very powerful things and change your life and how you think. So back to making you 100,000. Next idea, turn one deal into 4. It's mindset. Turn one deal into 4. The way you do that is through repeat and referral business. It's the mindset of not being transactional. It's being in relationship. Anytime you do a transaction, you want to be thinking, Tammy, one deal into 4. And the way you're going to do that is you need to have systems in place to stay in touch with your clients and the people you're prospecting for your real estate business. For example, there's a thing called a real estate anniversary, which is the anniversary date of when they did the transaction with you. So what should you do on their real estate anniversary? Call them and say happy anniversary. You'll be the only one doing it. And you do that every single year. And I would invite you to never miss. It's not just that, it's systems in place so you're top of mind. Me physically being in the room is a way of being top of mind. So email marketing, having an email list, staying in touch with your people, direct mail, phone calls, friending all of your people on social media, commenting when their daughter's selling Girl Scout cookies, buy the Girl Scout cookies from them. Little things like that. That's how you turn one deal into 4. It's a mindset. Okay. Here's your next idea. It's called a reciprocal referral relationship. It means this. I refer you, you refer me. I refer you, you refer me. So you want to find 10 people in the community that are professionals like you that you can build a relationship with intention. A business broker, for example, somebody who helps people buy and sell businesses. So they're like you guys, but they do it with businesses, you do it with homes. So you find somebody in the community here, a business broker with intention to say, hey, I'm looking for a business broker to refer to, and I want you to refer to me. Would you be interested? You find 10 people like that. A franchise consultant, they help people buy franchises. So and they work like a buyer's agent. So anyway, the long and the short of it is you want to have a franchise consultant that you have a reciprocal. So 10 people in 10 different industries. If you nurture those relationships, that will give you 5 extra transactions a year. 5 extra transactions a year times 10 years. What's the math on that? 50. This is 50 transaction idea, not 10. This is what I'm teaching you right now is 50. This is worth 50 transactions if you do what I'm suggesting that you do. It's 10 reciprocal referral relationships. They're going to give you 1 deal every 2 years. You're going to support them as best you can. They're going to support you. I advise you to turn 1 deal into how many? 4. 1 into 4. So watch this. 50 transactions into 4 is how many? 200 times 10 grand a deal is how much? It's $2 million. The math is $2 million on what I'm suggesting to you. Okay. Can you come back up here, Julian? Okay.
We heart you, Julian.
Flex for these guys again. Okay. Let's give them another hand. What I'm teaching you right now, what that looks like is you take the idea I just gave you and not have it go in one ear and out the other. It's you saying, Jason, okay, Eric, I like this idea because I'll do this with you, Jason. I will do, and I'll show you all. And this is the tip of the iceberg. This is the tip of the iceberg. So you set up these reciprocal referral relationships, and you've got them for life. And so that's a $2 million idea. We haven't even talked about agent attraction. And you really need training on agent attraction because your whole career you've been taught how to do an open house. You've been taught how do you prospect for sale by owner. And those are all valuable things for real estate. But now you're like, okay, I want to be like Brent. Okay, well, we have to think differently. You have to literally go into the gym and train, but you're at the beginning level with agent attraction. It's a different way of thinking. Okay. I've already given you over 10 deals. I got 2 more things to share and we'll wrap up. Live into your declaration. Okay. This is very powerful. Affirmation says, I'm a master prospector. And you affirm it every day you wake up. I'm a master prospector. I'm a master prospector. And then I say to you, okay, let me ask you a question. You're a master prospector, right? Yeah. Are you being the distinction? Well, no. How many prospecting touches did you do yesterday? I didn't do any. So saying you're a master prospector is one step above not saying it. Like it's a little bit better. But get this. Be the distinction. So Tom, this is what I was sharing with you when we were working. To be, you're a star with declarations. So you want to be the declaration. So I said at age 28, 1999, I'm 51 now, I said, either I'm becoming the Zig Ziglar of my generation, or I am the Zig Ziglar of my generation. And it wasn't an affirmation, it was a declaration. So what's the difference? Affirmation is I say it, declaration is I be it. So I stepped into being that, and that's what I enrolled Brent in. I told Brent, I'm the Zig Ziglar of my generation. I want to be on your team. And he said, I like that. Come on, let's do it. So in prospecting him, it's showing up as that, but we all have it inside of us. How many of you know you have potential inside of you beyond what you're currently producing? By a show of hands. It's in there, but the question is, how do we get it out of you? And the way is finding somebody like me that can pull it out of you. So you might have heard a guy named Les Brown. Les Brown's a friend of mine. Les Brown said, Eric, you're the chosen one. That's what he said to me. So he's pulling it out of me. So you get around somebody that can pull this out of you. That's the conversation, Steve, that we've been having, right? So pulling it out of you. All right, here's your last tip today. Oh, come up with a declaration for your real estate business. So if you want to declare, I want to be like Brent Gove. Awesome. That's like me saying, I want to be like Zig Ziglar. Be like Brent Gove. Show up as that. It doesn't have to be that. It can be a top producer. It can be, I want to be the number one agent team in the community here. And then you show up as that, and it'll draw out of you another level of you. My last tip for you is to have a morning routine. We don't have time today to train on morning routines, but I have a course which I'll give you for free if you'd like, and it will teach you my morning routine. And I do mine in 4 to 12 minutes a day. Some morning routines are like an hour long. I'm like, who's got an hour? I don't have an hour for that. If you got an hour, that's awesome. If you have an hour long morning routine, I'm happy for you. I don't have an hour. I'm busy. So I came up with a 4 to 12 minute one. So if you'd like to know what my 4 to 12 minute, and it's an hour long course, I'll give it to you for free. Is there anybody that would like it for free? Okay. So you guys all have my business card. All you have to do is just send me a text. Just text me and just say class. Just say the word class. That's all, just one word, class. And I'll text you the class. You don't have to opt in for anything. And you just do the class and self-study. It'll teach you exactly step by step how I do it. So that's my share. You're going to find me right here in this front row every week. If any of you need anything from me, you just shoot me a text and let me know. And Johnny, with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Dude. All right. I'm hearing that some of the PDFs aren't working. Don't worry. If you're on the Brent Gove team page, you will get that added. And then if you are not on the Brent Gove team page, you can go to Made for More Agents. It's an open group, and we'll post it there as well. So Jenna, just want to make sure we're answering that. All right. Well, that's all we have for today, guys. So if you haven't already, make sure you sign up for the listings class, sign up for the mixer, and go out and make some prospecting calls. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming.